What's going on YouTube? Well, it doesn't get bigger than this, in sales at least. This is the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4, the best-selling SUV in America for many years. And this new generation is making some bold moves, including becoming the first in the segment to go hybrid exclusive and introducing a GR Sport performance trim. So does this new RAV4 have what it takes to achieve total domination? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So a good place to begin this review is with the all-new exterior design. Now obviously, as soon as you look at this vehicle, they have really done a lot to kind of square off this RAV4, make it look a little bit more rugged across the entire lineup. But speaking of that, this new model is kind of developed in three different categories for the trim levels. So you have your core trim levels, you have your rugged trim levels, and you have your sport trim levels, and there's 7 all together. So in the core section, you have things like this limited trim. So this is going to give you a more conventional design. It's going to be very much in line with the latest Toyotas. So as you can see, we have a body color front fascia, just like with our long-term 2025 Camry. It also has little silver accents running throughout there. Now you also have your rugged trim levels, such as the Woodland model. That one we will be covering separately in a different review, but it does have the most aggressive look. And then off to the back there, you've got your GR Sport trim level, which is really dialing things up to 10 out of 10 in terms of the sporty design. Again, we'll be looking at that separately, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that still in this review. Now, in terms of the lighting on this new RAV4, we've got a brand new unit. You have a daytime running light on both the top and the bottom, and then wedged in between, you have your projector LED headlights. That's a standard equipment, of course. One of the things I really like to see is down here on our limited trim, we actually have a traditional fog light, which is becoming rare in the segment. Now, in terms of the wheels, you're going to have a lot of different options depending on which trim level you choose. But what is really cool about this new generation is they've actually upsized your highest end wheel option. So this is a 20-inch alloy now. Previously, you could only get a 19-inch alloy. And as you can see, a really nice contrast design with this limited trim level with the gloss black accents. There's a little bit of cladding on all the models around the wheel arches, kind of squared off, giving it that good stance. And then coming up here to our mirrors, we have a gloss black finish. We don't have official details on everything, but we should have standard blind spot monitoring and heating.
Now at the side of the all-new RAV4, I'm sure you're probably curious as to how long it is. It comes in at 180.9 inches, which is actually the exact same length as the previous generation model. And as far as design touches, you'll notice it's a little bit more squared off compared to the previous generation. Here on the Limited, we do have the roof rails up here at the top, and we also have darkened window surrounds. You can also get cool things like blacked out door handles depending on what trim level you select, as well as a two-tone roof. That's going to continue to be an option on the sport trim levels. So that would be things like your SE, the XSE grade, as well as the new GR Sport. Now, as far as the rear design is concerned, this RAV4 certainly has a very bold rear design. It looks nothing like the previous generation, and just kind of stepping back and looking at it myself here for the first time, I think this looks actually a little similar to something like a Nissan Rogue. That's not a bad thing, though, because I think this is a very handsome overall look. Now, as far as individual details, we have a spoiler up top. The rear window is going to be very vertical, and we do have a rear wiper integrated in there. All of the center section is going to be blacked out regardless of your exterior color. Our RAV4 branding is very prominent. And then let's take a look at these taillights. These taillights really are very premium for a vehicle in this space. As you can see, we kind of have the vertical LED components. They're fully LED for all the elements, including your turn signal and your reverse light. Dropping down, you'll see that new HEV badge because every model is hybrid exclusive. The Limited is going to add this silver piece down at the bottom to give you a little bit more of a premium look. As far as your tow capacity, with front-wheel drive, it comes in at 1,750 pounds, and with all-wheel drive, it comes in at 3,500 pounds, which is increased. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, Toyota doesn't mess around, and they know these are family vehicles. They are including all of their active safety features as standard equipment. It's actually going to be their latest version, 4.0. Now, Toyota has not said what exact functions that will add. However, more details on that will be coming later on, and know that they will be very advanced. But guys, perhaps the cabin is even more radical, so we need to check that out. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now let's move to the interior. Of course, you have a smart entry system, so you can just reach behind the handle and that will unlock the door. And then take a look at this all new interior. So as you can see, just like with the exterior, it is a pretty decent departure from the previous generation, especially when we're talking about technology. But before we get into the details of that, I want to go ahead and start off with our seats. Obviously, there's going to be a wide variety of different seating designs as well as materials offered depending on which trim level you select. When we're talking about the Limited here specifically, this is going to get you a Softex leatherette. It is perforated and has a pretty darn realistic feel. The seat itself, actually, we both remarked, looks a lot like a Lexus design with the accenting and the suede insert inside of it. And of course, there's going to be a few different colors you can choose from as well. We have 10 ways of power adjustment with 2 ways of lumbar support. Memory seats are located right there next to the door handle. But without further ado, let's climb inside so we can explore the rest of the details. Now, climbing in and shutting up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. So starting out on our door trim, we have the leatherette material that goes through there as well as all through the center section. Soft touch plastic is what covers the top part. As we move to the upper dash, they're not padding this top part here. This is a prototype though. Some of the material selection could change. It just depends. But through the center section, we have a leatherette. No padding along this center tunnel either. It is just going to be the hard touch plastic. Now obviously we're inside for a studio review, so we can't fire up the vehicle itself, but we can go ahead and kind of jump into the electronics and talk about that. So with the gauge cluster, what you might be observing right from the start is that this looks very different from the current generation. That's because Toyota has both upsized it to a 12.3-inch full digital cluster on all models, and they've also gotten rid of the hood over top of the gauges. So this just kind of sets out on its own. I think it's a really unique look. I don't know if it'll introduce any types of reflection issues or anything like that. We'll have to wait until later on when we test it out outside to see if that is the case, but it is certainly a new look. Also, one thing Toyota is introducing is a brand new head-up display. So as you can see, we don't have it on this example, but on both the Limited and the XSE, those can option on the head-up display, which is pretty rare for the segment. There's a few things that do have it, but it will be one of the few. Now, taking a look at the steering wheel, we've got a new Toyota design. It's kind of boxy, more squared off looking, matching with the more rugged vibe of the exterior. It's going to be manual tilt and telescoping. Also, you will have heating on a wide variety of the trim levels. Let's turn our attention to storage. Let's see how it stacks up against the current generation. First of all, with the console, you can open it up from 2 different directions now, kind of like a Lexus. You can also flip it over and use this backside as a tray. And by the way, the storage in here, quite large. Plenty of space for some donuts. We look forward to testing it out in the future. You've got your 2 cup holders. You have a really large cubby right up here in the front. And then you have another really large cubby on this part. And it actually looks like this is a double-sided phone charger. So when you get the Limited, they go from just having it here on the driver's side to also having it on the passenger side as well. And then finally, wrapping up that storage discussion, you have a very large passenger storage shelf, which is kind of a signature Toyota thing. Now, as we pull back to this console area, One of the things you'll notice is we've got a brand new electronic shifter. There's actually going to be a division, so some of the models will get the traditional style shifter, some of them will get the electronic style. This one here is very small and compact, but the operation looks pretty simple. You have an electronic parking brake as well, and this version will get the 360-degree camera system as well. Now, one of the big shifts in the interior design is moving from the big ol' climate knobs that you had on the current generation and moving now to these drive mode controllers being present in that same kind of area. This doesn't twist or anything, but you got those 4 different buttons. Now your climate controls are actually built into the screen. So this is, of course, a very large screen. I'll go ahead and tell you that this is 12.9 inches. That is the largest size RAV4 has ever had. That's going to be on your upper examples. Your standard size is still going to be larger at 10.25 inches than the previous model. Dual zone climate, like I was saying down there, some of the functions are going to be inside of the screen itself. I also want to mention that we got the 9-speaker JBL sound system on today's model, although we won't be taking a sample of it. As far as what the screen is backed up by, it's a new software. So Toyota has kind of a new whole vehicle software called Irene, and that is going to allow this to be updated to the latest and greatest Toyota multimedia infotainment. They're promising performance enhancements as well as UI enhancements. We look forward to seeing those in the future. Up top, we've got the auto-dimming mirror. This is also a smart digital camera rear view mirror, and HomeLink universal remotes are built right in. And then, of course, as you can see, we've got a very large piece of glass with a power sunshade from the panoramic sunroof, and the front panel continues to open up.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the rear seat area. Now, unfortunately, this is a very, very early look at the RAV4, so I don't have official numbers when it comes to how much rear seat room you are going to have. However, because of this vehicle retaining the same overall vehicle length outside, I do expect that to be mostly the same as the previous generation, which was sitting at about 38 inches of legroom and about 39 inches of headroom. Those are pretty good space figures for the segment. Maybe the headroom is a little bit improved just due to the taller and more squared off look, but I have plenty of room, that's for sure. Now, I am 5'9", and this seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we brought the official Car Confections ruler along with us. That's so we can see how much knee room you can realistically expect, and about 6 inches is the answer. Now, my feet can also slide easily up underneath of the seat, and the seats themselves do recline just a little bit, as you can see right here. If we fold down the center armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside, and then here in the center section, we have quite a lot of features. You'll notice we have 2 USB-C ports, and we're also going to have heated back seats. That's still a feature that a lot of the competition is not including the CR-V, and we do additionally have climate vents down here. Another feature that I do want to kind of point out that I think Drew forgot to mention in the front is the heated and ventilated seats up in the front. That will continue to be offered on this new RAV4. It's actually going to be included on the XSE trim level for the first time this year. And once more, that is a feature that main rivals like the Honda CR-V are not including. As far as the door trim, lots of leatherette, soft touch plastic on the upper part, and then we also have quite a bit of door storage down on the very bottom. Now let's talk about overall cargo capacity as well. We switched over here to the Woodland model, and of course you can see we have a power tailgate. And as far as the space is concerned back here, once more, we don't have those official numbers from Toyota yet. However, there's a couple things worth noting due to that same exterior vehicle length. I'm expecting it to be very similar to the current generation. So that would put it at around 69 cubic feet as a maximum. You can see those figures on the screen right now. Do be aware, though, that this is also being offered in a plug-in hybrid, which reduces your overall cargo capacity down to about 63 cubic feet, so a few cubic feet less. Now, as far as the features are concerned, you notice we have a cargo cover. We also have the ability to 60-40 split fold the rear seats. There are not any handles to do that, so you just have to reach up here and fold the seats down. Even for someone who's just reasonably sized like myself, that is not actually all that difficult. Now, this is a Car Confections review after all, so let me go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures for this model. As far as cargo length, with the seat adjusted to Drew's position, about 72 inches, 6 feet. From behind the second row of seats, we're looking at about 37 inches of length. As far as overall cargo opening, 45 inches, and then overall height is about 30 inches. So those are all pretty good figures for this model. And then if we lift up the floor, this particular tester does have a spare tire. I don't know if that's a Woodland specific thing or if it's on all the trim levels. Those details will become clear closer to when this vehicle goes on sale.
All right, so now let's talk about that new powertrain setup. So of course, that's very big news for this next generation RAV4 is the fact that it goes hybrid exclusive. So you have a standard 5th generation hybrid system, and then you have the available 6th generation plug-in hybrid system, but no straight gas option is offered anymore. Now let's talk a little bit about some numbers you would associate with those. So it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder on your hybrid model. It's now making 226 horsepower with the front-wheel drive model and 236 horsepower with the all-wheel drive model. So those are improvements of about 17 horsepower over the previous hybrid model. Now the plug-in hybrid, that is going to also have a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors and a larger battery pack for the new model. This is going to give you 320 horsepower, an improvement of 18 horsepower, and it's also going to give you additional range, which I'll talk about in just a second. The availability of this is standard on the GR Sport and then optional on SE, XSE, and the Woodland Edition. Now, of course, as typical with Toyota hybrid systems, you're going to have an eCVT, and then you also have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive to choose from on the hybrid models. That's a first for the RAV4 because previously the hybrid always had all-wheel drive, but now you can get a front-wheel drive version. So we're estimating that that is going to increase the fuel economy even further than the current generation. So we're thinking, even though Toyota doesn't have an official rating, that we could be looking at perhaps 42 to 43 miles per gallon combined with your lower end trim levels. So that will be very, very impressive, obviously, and really give it another step up above most of the competition. Now, circling back to the PHEV I was talking about earlier, the enhancements that they've made will bump the range up to an estimated 50 miles now, which is 8 more than it was previously. And then some additional things that Toyota is saying that they have improved. They're saying the ride quality is going to be better than before. The chassis is more rigid than it was before. XLE and XSE are going to gain acoustic glass. The GR Sport is going to have a special sport-tuned suspension, and they have taken measures to make the cabin a quieter space overall. We look forward to putting all of those things to the test when we get to go out on the road with all of these RAV4s. We're really looking forward to giving you guys just tons more coverage of this RAV4 in the coming months because we know it is a very important product to you.
All right, so let's discuss pricing and availability as well. So first of all, let's start with our pricing. So we don't have official numbers from Toyota when it comes to this. However, of course, we can sit here and estimate a little bit. The 2025 prices start around $31,000 and range up to $40,200 for this limited. I'd expect maybe a $1,500 or $1,000 price increase, so around $41,000. $500 for this limited hybrid trim level that you've been seeing today. There will likely be option packages on it as well, so probably $44,000 to $45,000 with all the options. The PHEV models will additionally cost more. I'm expecting those to be, right around that $50,000 or more price point. Now, as far as when Toyota says this model will become available, they say it later 2025, so that will likely mean fall to winter of this year. And by the way, if you're looking to buy a Toyota RAV4 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. You can find a link to that in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth first look review of the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4. If you enjoyed watching this first look review of one of the most popular vehicles in the U.S., we'd really like if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're not only going to get the latest car reviews such as this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel and cover the coolest cars on the market, so you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.